And I got mics on, recording is now going, so.
Putting up like something on the screen.
You want us to put something on the
You don't
screen?
have to. I'm just used to that.
We can.
No, you're fine.
What would you like us to put on the screen?
We don't usually go through.
Bluey?
I guess maybe that's old school, going through kind of, well, you got this much for this line, this much for this line. I don't really have that much to say, other than
Just your name and your department first.
Darren Driscoll, Webster County Attorney.
How do you spell that, Barb?
Stop. Sore subject, too soon. So I submitted the general cost as were requested, nothing in terms of salary, because I understand that's still a moving target in terms of any cost of living increases that might be there. I'm sure you're all well aware that inflation was around 3% last year. So anything shy of 3%, despite budget constraints, is another effective pay cut for employees. The only real things, did anybody have any questions about my changes? I put a couple of bumps in there when I knew like my software expenses were going up for my case management. Might have added a little bit, like cost, stationary costs or like office supplies, paper, things of that nature. I don't think I bumped anything very severely. But if anybody has any questions about those bumps that I made, I'm happy to address them. I have the two kind of unique situations in my office, aside from whatever number you on for across the board cost of living increases or raises, I guess. But I have the Larry Hedlund contract where the city of Fort Dodge reimburses us 60% of salary. Webster County pays 40% of salary and 100% of benefits. I'm always contacted in November when the police department is going through their budgetary process. Talked to Chief Quinn, and last year, as I did this year, I said, hoping for 3%, don't know what we're going to do. So I think he put in his budget request 3% on the 60% portion they pay. And then I invoice them quarterly, they pay us, and then it goes back in the pot. And that's one of my unusual looking line items, probably says outside law enforcement, or I can't remember exactly how it's categorized, but that's what that is. So that's what I'm looking at for Larry, is hopefully 3%. At least that's what the city is probably going to be granting for the 60%. Then I have that deal that we started this fiscal year with Hamilton County, where they had John Beatty, who was an assistant county attorney over there. He decided he wanted to stop doing that. So he reached out to me, seeing if we could cover some of the duties for their county attorney, Pat Chambers, that John had been covering. So we've been covering that for the last year. Well, for the beginning, just right before the beginning of the fiscal year, we started doing that. The agreement last year was $60,000 that they would kick to us, and then we reallocated that among my attorneys because we'd be sharing the additional load. Doug Cook actually does a really nice job. He goes over there every Wednesday morning, so one day a week, because that's when they have juvenile cases that Pat Chambers doesn't do. And then he has pre-trials for middle level and low level criminal cases. In addition to that, I agreed to take on their property assessment appeal board and district court property assessment appeals. Because they initially just wanted somebody to do what they were doing, but then their board of supervisors said, we're paying outside counsel to do all of our property assessment appeal board stuff. And they're paying like $100,000 a year to some outside counsel. So their supervisors wanted me to do it because I'm one of the few county attorneys that I guess actually does that. A lot of people outsource it. And I said, okay, I'll do that. Why don't we you're a small county. I can't imagine you have as much work as Webster. Why don't we tack on another 5,000? So the initial 55,000 discussion went to 60. And then it turned out that they have a lot more complicated stuff going on, and their assessor is fairly aggressive. So a lot more things require hearings. So their board chair reached out to me this year and said, hey, will you please stay on doing this? Because still it's a huge savings for them. And I said, why don't we just double it to 10 for next year? So, and then I have built into that contract 3% raise every year, or 3% cost of living adjustment. So it's going to be 60,000 plus 1.03. So 3% on the 60, then adding another 5,000. So this coming year, it'll be 66,800 coming in from Hamilton County to help offset salaries. So I anticipate to do what we did last year, the 60,000. I divided up. Doug Cook. I intend to do the same with the additional 6,800. I don't know yet till I get the numbers from you guys, but then I can break it down, the Webster County portion, the Hamilton County portion, and give you a final number. That's kind of how I did it last year, so. If anybody has any questions, those are really the only two kind of unique things about my budget, I think. Hearing none?
You explained what my one
Okay,
thing was, so.
all right. So yeah, so basically, I guess do we know what your target is for when you think you might be able to tell us on insurance rates and so we can submit like final numbers, I'm assuming.
How do you feel?
Insurance rates is working with Ted on all of that too, and I guess I kind of forgot to ask him yesterday if there was an update on that, but
And that in terms of just like the cost of living adjustment for this year.
cost of living and waiting on you guys. So, yeah, you can address that part.
I did have a change in staff that saved me some of an hourly rate. I had one assistant. Yes, one assistant moved on and then I hired the next one for $1.50 less an hour, I think. So we have a little bit of savings there too that would be into the next fiscal year, so.
And I did make some adjustments on the worksheets that you guys have. I did make some adjustments to show. I wasn't sure at the time that I put it together what the next or what this person would be making. So I haven't updated it since she started, but it does show a little bit of a difference from last fiscal year to this fiscal year. So
All right,
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sharon, too.
Appreciate it.